Hey BookTube, welcome to my channel, Michael Romeo Talks Books, and I am of course here to talk about books and also a little bit more. Um, Doing my August wrap up, my September TBR, and reporting on a very teeny tiny book haul, which wasn't all books, and that'll be explained. But to start off, I'm still reading Harvey Sundown, and this is by KB Gilden. I've been reading it since March. I started it for March of the Mammoths, the reading event in March. And it is an awesome book. It is 1,135 pages, and I probably would be done with it by now if I didn't sideline it by reading some other books along the way. But I'm now down to just a couple of hundred pages, and I am going to finish it in September. I'm sure of that. And it is an excellent book. Thoroughly enjoying it. It will probably get 5 stars on my Goodreads. And this is volume one, and this is volume two. And as you see, volume two no longer has a dust jacket. I took it off while I was reading it, and the cats got a hold of it and decided it was a toy and made confetti out of it. So that one will forever no longer have a dust jacket. Um, but the book itself is very deep and detailed in its writing. So much so that after reading some pages, sometimes you just have to stop and say, I got to digest what I've just read and move on with something else for a little bit. It is a strongly written book, uh, full of detailed characters. Um, I think it could have been published as a series, um, simply because I'm saying a 5 book series because it's broken up into 5 sections, and each one is mostly a standalone story, but with the same characters and with the random mention of things that happened earlier here and there. I have a feeling when it wraps up in the last part that a lot of the dangling threads are going to get pulled together. The theme, as I mentioned before, is of racism in Georgia in the years after World War II, but not just racism regarding blacks and whites. It's also racism between the haves and the have-nots, because there is where it is set. There is a definite um, upper class and a definite lower class, and no real middle class. And the dynamics of that are very strongly portrayed. Um, so I will do a full review on it once I'm done reading volume two, which will be probably at the end of September. I'll do it. But definitely, I mean, this is a hard book to find. It's not in print anymore. You have to get it secondhand. It's not available as an ebook. Um, but it is available. It is out there, and I strongly recommend it. Anybody who likes very in-depth, detailed stories about groups and classes of people. Um, this it's a great book. It'll get 5 stars on my Goodreads unless something goes really awry in the end. But so far, I'm planning to give it 5 stars on Goodreads. So that's been going on. In addition to that, I got sidetracked from it by a book called The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. My wife was in the hospital, and I stopped by to visit her, and she wasn't in her room. They had taken her out somewhere to do tests and stuff, so I picked up her tablet, and just said I'm going to just, read something just to pass the time. And the first book that was listed was The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. And I started reading it. And this book absolutely blew me away. I have seldom read a book that's as impacting and as visceral as that book is. It's about the Vietnam War, told through the story of a fictional platoon, but the intention of the book is to accurately display the reality of what it was like to be in Vietnam during the last year of the war. Powerful book. I did a review on it on this channel. If you go back just a couple of videos, you'll find it. It's an awesome book. It got, in my opinion, cheated out of the Pulitzer Prize for fiction. It went to John Updike instead. And while I've not read a lot of John Updike, what I've read of John Updike has not impressed me the way this book by Tim O'Brien impressed me. So I really feel that it should have gotten the Pulitzer Prize for fiction in 1991. Definitely get yourself a copy of it, read it, whether it's ebook or physical book, doesn't matter. Very powerful book. And again, to go back and see my review on it to get more detail about what it's all about. Linda and I continue to read to each other, and we're still working our way through the Charles Todd Ian Rutledge series. It's a mystery series set following World War I in England, and it is one of the best mystery series I've come across in all my years of reading. The two entries that we read to each other in August were A Fatal Lie and The Gatekeeper. Both excellent books. The Gatekeeper is probably my favorite so far. One of the things I really liked about it is the assumptions made about the killer derailed the investigation for quite a while. There was just one assumption made about the identity of the killer, and they were way off. And if they had just flipped their paradigm a little bit and opened up another possibility, they probably would have identified the killer earlier. And I liked that theme of the problems with assuming. And it's an excellent book. Again, I keep plugging this series, and I will keep plugging it until we've finished reading the whole thing. We're not far from the end. But it is about Ian Rutledge, who is a Scotland Yard inspector, and he has just come back from fighting in World War I, and he suffers from shell shock, which he keeps pretty well covered up, because back then people with shell shock were considered to be cowards and have little character, and it could be a life-destroying bit of knowledge to say that I have shell shock. And his shell shock has a very unique way of manifesting itself, which I always want to tell you what it is, but I can't because it's a spoiler. But you do learn it in the first book, and it's very effectively revealed what his manifestation of shell shock is. And it follows him for the rest of his life, at least for the years that this series is taking place. And it's creative. I'll give the authors that. It's very creative and a little spooky. So that's what we read in August. Harvey Sundown, The Things They Carried, Fatal Lie, and The Gatekeeper. Coming up in September, I am going to finish Harvey Sundown. I am determined to finish it. I've only got a couple hundred pages left, as I said. And then I'm going to take a break with something short. And I'm thinking of one of these books. I've been wanting to read Phillip Roth, and I've collected quite a number of his books so far. And I'm either going to read Goodbye Columbus, which was his first published work, or I'm going to read Portnoy's Complaint, which I read back in high school, but I think reading it now at an older age, I'll have a higher appreciation for it. But they're both short, as you can see, they're both very skinny books, and I'm going to read one of them just to kind of clear the palate, so to speak, before I go on to reading Once an Eagle, which is one of my white whale books, because back in June, I think it was, I threw down the gauntlet to some booktubers to read their white whale books, which goes back to a whole other string of videos that took place in the spring. White whale books being those books that have been on your shelf, but you haven't read them because for one reason or another, they may intimidate you. But something about them has just kept you from reading them. And in my case, all of them are a combination. I like big books. I like big, thick books, as proved by Harvey Sundown and being a fan of James Michener and others. But these 4 books that I picked as my white whale books are not only thick books, but they're on topics that I'm not 100% sure an author could hold my attention for the length of a thick book. Maybe a shorter novel, but for a thick book, maybe not. So I'm going to start the first one. I'm doing them in chronological order. And the first one on my list is Once an Eagle by Anton Myrer. And it's about 2 officers in World War II, starting in World War II. The book goes through a couple of decades. One of them is a man of honor who puts his platoon first, who is a strong advocate for his men, and gets his promotions by the acts of courage and his performance in battle, whereas this other one has gotten his promotions by who he knows and by basically brown-nosing his way up. And it's the conflict between the 2 personalities. And this book is over 1,000 pages long. Hopefully it won't take me as long as reading Harvey Sundown. But that's going to be my next big read. So between the Portnoy or Goodbye Columbus, the Phillip Roth books, and Anton Myrer, of course, Linda and I will continue reading to each other. And right now, because the next Charles Todd book is on hold at the library, we don't have it yet. We're going to another series we've been chipping away at by Ellis, which is the Cat File series. And the next book in that series is an excellent mystery, and we're just about to start that. So now, for my haul, my little mini haul, I got 3 items. Oh, one of them is a book from when I was in high school that I absolutely loved. And I was so glad to find a copy of it on Thrift Books. And that is Think Good Thoughts About a Pussycat by George Booth. Big book. It's a book of cartoons, basically, that are very, very creative. I don't know how well you can see on there. Probably not really good. But anyway, we got a dog and a cat sleeping in a corner of the room. the dog jumps up suddenly and starts chewing at its butt for whatever reason and freaks out the cat. And the cat ends up in the corner, totally traumatized by what the dog just did. But there is another one in here that's a favorite of mine. I don't know if I can find it real quick. I should have looked for it before I start. There it is. Just saw it. I remember being a teenager and seeing this one and laughing so hard. Here you've got a young man sitting on the stoop and a very sexy lady walking by, and there's two old ladies standing at the top of the steps. And one of the old ladies shouts out to the young man, "Whistle, you dumb bastard." Anyway, I thought that was so funny when I was a kid. This is it's brilliant comic relief. And I've been enjoying flipping through it. And just the nostalgia of remembering reading it for the first time and enjoying it again for a second time. This is one that's going to stay close to hand, so that on those days when I just need a little comic relief, I can just pick it up and enjoy. Also in that book haul, I got a free book because of my my buying prowess at thriftbooks.com. And I got the Feast of All Saints. I want to do an Anne Rice month or two in 2024, and I want to include her non-horror books. And this one is one of her non-horror books. It predates the Vampire series. In the days before the Civil War, there lived a Louisiana people unique in Southern history. For though they were descended from African slaves, they were also descended from the French and Spanish who had enslaved them. They were the gens de couleur, libre, the free people of color. And in this dazzling historical novel, Anne Rice chronicles the lives of 4 of their number, men and women, caught perilously between the worlds of master and slave, privilege and oppression, passion and pain. So knowing how Anne Rice writes with her historical themes, her ability to create impacting characters, I'm looking forward to this one. And I'll probably be one of the first ones I read come 2024 when I do an Anne Rice reading along. I'm going to offer it out to people who want to read along too, because Anne Rice is just a brilliant writer from the stuff I've read so far. And I haven't read a whole lot of her stuff, but what I've read I've liked. And then I got something from Thrift Books that's not a book, but I am really excited to get. Anybody who knows me, whether it's through this channel or in real life, knows that I am absolutely over the moon about Lady Gaga, both as a singer and as an actress. And I got her, I believe it's a Golden Globe that she got for a Golden Globe performance in American Horror Story Hotel episode. It's season 5. It's the entire season 5. I got it for $9. $9, that's all. It's $9 for the entire season. It's like $40 on Amazon. And I am so anxious to sit down and start watching this. And Lady Gaga playing the Countess, who is a vampire. And she's playing, the others in the cast are Kathy Bates and Sarah Paulson and Angela Bassett. It's got a great cast, and with Lady Gaga joining them, it's just going to be an absolutely spectacular performance. So that's my little haul, and my wrap up, my TBR for months of August and September. And that's about it for now. As always, it's great to have you here. I'm so glad you stopped by. If you liked the video, click the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and you will know when I post more content. My content's been a little erratic lately, but so has life been. So we'll get back to where I was eventually, posting a couple of bits of content a week. And on that note, I've got to end this one and start filming another one for Tag Tuesday next Tuesday. Because I've got a tag to do. And I'm going to do it for next Tuesday, Tag Tuesday. So you'll see another video Tuesday, right? Okay. Love y'all. Bye.